Hey, folks, we'll be on in a minute. Just checking to make sure all the connections are going out to Facebook, X. It looks like we're connected on Facebook. Looks like we just connected on X. And holy cow, it looks like we were also on Instagram. Look, folks, I don't make, I don't make any, I don't make any, I don't make any promises on Instagram, although it looks like it's up there. We'll give it a try. You have to do a little bit extra step, which apparently I didn't do last time we did this. But anyway, hey folks, Gene Galin here with the Chatham Journal. I got Asheebo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. He's the man with all the news, and here's our agenda for today. It's our second episode of this new high school sports season. We're going to talk about the fact that football season kicks off this Friday. Talk about all four high school football teams that are playing. Talk about volleyball. It's underway. Also, soccer is underway. Boys soccer here in the county. And the paper comes out. The Chatham News and Record comes out on Thursday. So make sure to pick up your copy. And of course, everyone's favorite, Asheebo's Athlete of the Week. And I'm going to get rid of this agenda, but before we go start talking about something, we mentioned this towards the end of last week's episode, and I'm going to make sure I ask Asheebo this to see if he's going to do this or not. Are we having a power ranking this week, Asheebo?
Oh, yes, we are having a preseason power ranking, of course, before tomorrow. If you guys know, it's in the paper now under our story with the week one football preview. So you guys might have already seen what it looks like, but of course, we're going to talk about it today once we get done with previewing all these games we got tomorrow.
All right. I wasn't sure. I didn't have it on the agenda, but I know it's something everybody's looking forward to. So, Asheebo, let's go ahead and start off. Let's talk about Friday night football. It's kicking off here starting tomorrow. Give us a rundown. You had your preview last week. Folks, you should have picked up the Chatham News and Record paper. We had pictures. Asheebo had a whole bunch of write-ups as to all four teams. They all came out from the media event, and Asheebo did a really nice job writing that stuff up. So, Asheebo, let's talk about Friday night football. What do you see going into tomorrow night's games?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest games we have, just because of the anticipation with Torrey Matthews coming in at Seaforth and the new era they've got going on, is Seaforth at Chapel Hill, 7 o'clock kickoff up here. And yeah, I'll be there reporting live. Gene will come, I think, for the second half after he'll get done shooting jam at Carborough. But yeah, this is a game I'm looking forward to, just to see what Seaforth looks like in his new era, of course. And they have a really good chance with their schedule this year to really take that next step, try to build toward making their first playoff berth this season. And in the preview, just looking at Chapel Hill, this is a team that went 4-6 last year. Of course, I think they were a 4A team last year, and they're 7A this season. So they're going to return senior quarterback Samuel Zimmerman, guy who was injured a little bit last year, but when he was playing, Chapel Hill did pretty well. 3-2 last year in the games he played. It was the 5 games he played, and he ended the year with, I think, over 500 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns in those games. So, the passing game, something Seaforth will have to prepare for. But we know that's where their veterans are with Patrick Miller, Nick Gregory, Noah Williams at corner. So they'll have to be ready for that. But I think Seaforth, just looking at the two teams and the rosters they have coming back, when I was looking, I think Seaforth does have an upper hand with the experience as far as personnel in that game. They've also yet to win a season opener. So I think for the players that's been here for the past 2 or 3 seasons, that will be something in the back of their minds. Hey, let's go in here. Let's finally start the season on a good note. And they'll get a chance to on Friday on the road too, which could do, some pretty good things for their confidence going up against a 7A team, beating them on the road. Also, too, if you guys remember Kenneth Dula from Jordan Matthews, he'll be over on the Chapel Hill side, making an impact for them as well. So you'll get to catch former Chatham County guy who was also at C4 too to start his high school career. And it'll be fun to watch those two teams battle it out. And Gene, do you have anything about the C4 Chapel Hill game?
No, I'm looking forward to it. And yes, as Asheebo said, I will be there for the second half. Asheebo's been at several of the scrimmages and practices that Seaforth has had. I'm going to leave this primarily up to you because you've seen more of what's going on out there. I'm looking forward to being out there for the second half. And as Asheebo said, first half, I'm looking to do the JM versus Carborough game. So on to the next game.
Oh yeah, also in that game too for Seaforth and Chapel Hill, it'll be interesting to see who gets to start at quarterback for Seaforth as well, because that was a big thing with Tolbert telling us that everybody's in the competition, even as quarterbacks. And so Duncan Parker or Mason Pooley will come out and lead the offense. It'll be interesting to see who gets the first go in leading that offense. So yeah, next game, got to talk about Northwood at Harnett Central, 7:00 kickoff for them as well. A little bit of a long drive down to Harnett County, but for Northwood, they went 6-5 last season. Totally different look for them, especially in the receiver core. So it's going to be interesting to see the guys they have. I think we saw that at the scrimmage, Willie Boykin, Max Hohenwater as well at the receiver core, just plugging in there, making some plays. So we'll have to see exactly, what they can bring against a team like Harnett Central. Pretty good, tough team last year. They were a 6A opponent this season, and last year in the 3A playoffs, they made it there as a 19 seed. So they were returning a lot of their guys, big names from their team. Senior quarterback Kobe Howard threw for over 2,200 yards last season, 31 touchdowns. Junior receiver DJ Brown, who caught 41 passes for 802 yards, 15 touchdowns for him. And there was another guy on the defensive end, like William Jones. He's a linebacker. He had 115 tackles and 8 tackles for loss. That will be on their side as well. So pretty tough opponent for Northwood to start. But we talked to Coach Dalton Brown. I mean, that's how they want it. They want to go out there and play the best competition they can, and build that confidence in themselves. That they can go down, they can compete with anybody. And I think for Northwood, this would be interesting to see how they can deal with having the players playing both sides a little bit more than they did last season. Of course, not as many numbers, but also too, you lose a lot of impact guys last year. You got some guys that have returned that's going to have to step up and play even bigger roles to help out some of the younger guys they'll plug in on varsity. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see there for Northwood if anyone wants to make the trip down to Harnett County to catch the Chargers. And then, Gene, did you have anything on that game as well?
Nope, except like you said, the thing that we've seen is both at Northwood, players are playing both sides. My concern is what we've seen. I think they look good. It's just hopefully they'll stay pretty injury-free throughout the season, because I think if they get a bunch of injuries, that's going to affect who can play for them. So that's all I've got to add on that one. Next game.
Yeah, and the next game, Jordan Matthews at Carborough, 7:00 kickoff. You guys remember last year these two teams met, and Carborough won that one 27-0. Carborough went on to finish the season 3-7, just like Jordan Matthews. And they were 3A last season. This season they are in the same classification as Jordan Matthews in the 4A league. So yeah, I think just go back to last year's game. Carborough really pounded Jordan Matthews in a run game. I think they had 165 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns there, and then they also had 132 yards and a score through the air. So it will be a little bit of a balanced attack from Carborough to expect, and we saw them at the Jack Shannon Jamboree as well. Carborough, they have some pretty decent size, for their team. Maybe still working out some things offensively and defensively. We saw Chatham Central even competing with them and getting some big plays on Carborough as well. So I think Jordan Matthews has a really good opportunity to come out here and start the year on a good note as well. Kind of throw away what happened last year and come in with a fresh start. Of course, we know the team got more mature, got bigger in the weight room. And of course, they got some guys playing different positions, trying to see what works best for the team. So it'll be interesting to see, how those guys come in and play in those new positions, especially Kamari Hadley is going to be taking the reins at quarterback for the first time for Jordan Matthews. And so we'll see how that offense operates under him in the backfield. And of course, we got Jakari Blue, guy who said he's playing lighter this year. He said he can hit the holes harder. He can see the running lanes open up better. And so we'll get to see if he can get loose for some big runs down the field as well. So yeah, Jordan Matthews, I think they have a really good shot at competing with Carborough and maybe knocking them off for the first win of the season.
Only thing I got to add to that is again, Jordan Matthews, as you said, Coach Kermit thinks they're going to do pretty well this year. We'll see how they go. I will be there for the first half taking pictures. Also, we'll shoot some videos. Reminder for folks on the Chapel Hill Seaforth game, Asheebo is going to be there, and after that game, Asheebo usually does post-game interviews with some select players as well as the coach. So you want to follow Asheebo on X on Asheebo R38. I'm not doing any type of interviews or anything at the JM Carborough game because I got to get out of there at halftime to get over to the Seaforth game. But I will post some videos up on our YouTube channel so you can take a look at that. And there will be pictures, and you will see the pictures in the Chatham News and Record paper next Thursday. So that's all I got to say about that game. But I will be there for the first half. All right, what's the next game?
Yeah, our last game, Chatham Central at Graham, 7 o'clock kickoff as well for that one. And yeah, another rematch from last season. Of course, last year, Chatham Central and Graham was a conference game. And if you guys remember that one, the Bears were leading 14-7 all the way until the end. Graham scored a game-tying touchdown in the final seconds, and they go in overtime and won that game. But I think Chatham Central going into this game, seeing what happened last year, and seeing how they've improved this year. They've had a full offseason to do 11-on-11, build some more of that team chemistry before they get into the regular season. I think they should feel pretty good going into Graham. They saw, the coaches got an early look at Graham, of course, at the Jack Shanner Jamboree. And looking at Graham, of course, the team, they're going to kind of mix it up offensively from what I saw. Play a lot of, try to get a lot of yards through the short game as well with their quarterback, still trying to learn the reins of their offense as well. But I think Chatham Central, they've improved defensively, of course, with the two defense coordinators and Trayvon Tapp and Dewanye Bland helping out there. Offensively with Perks Albright having a full offseason, getting to learn the plays with more time, and of course the other players as well. They look like a team that could execute plays offensively on Friday at the Jamboree. And like we said, they competed against Carborough, made some big plays. Nick Glover had a couple touchdowns. Tyler Congrove broke loose for a score as well and some other long runs. I think this is a game they should feel, like I said, good about going into. They can just execute offensively, limit turnovers, and of course, just bring that same aggressive mentality they had defensively at the Jack Shannon Jamboree. We saw some sacks from guys like Wilson Henshaw, some of the other defensive linemen getting in the backfield. I think they can definitely come out here and get a win in week one. And looking at their schedule, and we were talking with Gene and PJ as well. We kind of excited for Chatham Central football this year, looking at their schedule, because a lot of teams they've competed with and have beat in the recent years. So, of course, Graham, you got Jordan Matthews, a game that also went down to the wire last year. East Columbus, an unofficial game for Chatham Central last season, but they did win that one. Of course, you got a familiar opponent in Northmore. Then you got North Stokes, another team they've competed with in the past. Since College Prep and Leadership, kind of a mystery team. I think this is their first year with football, so we don't know what to expect with them. But then later in the year, you got South Davidson, Winston-Salem Prep. I mean, there's a lot of games on Chatham Central's schedule that they have a really good chance of going in and winning. So, we might see a very different win-loss record for the Bears to start the season and definitely maybe even to end the season. So, if you Coach Darren Little and their coaching staff and the Chatham Central community should be very excited for what they could do this season. And with that, we have the preseason power rankings. I'm sure Gene is excited to hear those. If you guys haven't already seen them,
all right. Before we go to the power rankings, let's talk about the fact I was going to say I was out there with you at the Jack Shaner Jamboree at Northwood, and you're out there with the pad. He's out there with the pad, taking notes. You're also talking to a whole bunch of coaches. What was your overall impression of the Jack Shaner Jamboree, and what did you get out of it as somebody who covers Chatham County sports, Chatham County football?
Yeah, so for Northwood and Chatham Central, our only county teams there, I think for Northwood, it was more of a good opportunity, really to get the younger guys more reps, more game reps. They did a lot of subbing, and a lot of those younger players played most of the games, I think, against Apex and Chatham Central. But against we saw more of the starters against Western Alamance, and in that game, of course, what I took away was the guys that have been here before have made plays in the past. They're going to continue to make plays this year, especially Robert Tripp had some pretty good runs for him offensively. And defensively, though, I think with the loss of AJ Romason, they have to replace that production. I like what I saw from the defensive line from Northwood. They got into the backfield a lot in that Western Alamance game, and defensive backs too with Rajay Torres back there, Willie Boynton. Of course, we have Grayson Cox playing defensive back as well during the regular season. I think their defense will be another strong unit like they were last season. Offensively, I think the only thing they definitely would have to harp on is the offensive line, just getting those guys to be more aggressive at the line of scrimmage. I think we saw a lot of times where Western Alamance defenders did get in the backfield, kind of muddy up some plays before they could develop. And of course, they got some sacks from Grayson as well. So once they get that, I think that's the biggest thing for them is getting the offensive line together, improving there. But I think Northwood, still has a really good team that can compete with their schedule, and of course in their conference with some pretty good teams like Eastern Randolph, Southwestern Randolph, and teams like that. So for Chatham Central, I think for them there was just, of course, putting it all together and letting it shine against a real competition. They had a really tough game. The first one against Trinity Christian from Fayetteville. Team that was just bigger than them, faster than them. And so they didn't get really too much of a good look there. But even in that game, the coaches were still coaching hard. They were still, maybe getting some plays off, trying to get the ball downfield. So I think the players there kind of have grown as far as confidence and, like we said, execution of plays. And that really showed in the Carborough game where you're playing a team more on their level. And to me, I thought, size-wise, they were bigger than Chatham Central, but that didn't really matter. I mean, yeah, Brooks Albart rolling out, finding Nick Glover down the field for some touchdowns, like we said, Tyler Congrove getting loose for some scores, and the defensive line getting in the backfield. I mean, that in that game, it really looked like a team that has improved a lot from last season to this year. And then, of course, the two teams, Northwood and Chatham Central, they ended their time in the Jamboree playing together. Of course, Chatham Central, with the numbers, they couldn't really sub in a lot of guys to go up against Northwood's second and third string. But it was just still more good work for Chatham Central to get some things together offensively and defensively. I think the first play was actually a long touchdown to Nick Glover. So, that's a good sign. Now you're going up against, the team's second and third strings. You guys are getting some plays to connect. And defensively, I don't think Northwood, well, if not mistaken, I don't think Northwood found the end zone in that scrimmage for Chatham Central defensively. So, I think that's what I took away from the scrimmage for both teams. Yeah, for Northwood, of course, get to see what the starters can do, against another team as well, but also seeing what the young guys can do, getting them more game reps. And then for Chatham Central, just continuing to improve, which they pretty much showed in the scrimmage.
Yeah, I enjoy that event. One of the reasons is because I get to stand in midfield and shoot, which you don't get to do during regular football games. But you mentioned Trinity Christian. I think they had the largest, the tallest, and biggest line that I saw that evening. So they're going to be hard to play. And Chatham Central ran up against those guys, and those guys just have the size and the height. All right, folks, what you've been waiting for. Let me quit holding off here. The power rankings. Go for it, Asheebo.
Okay, so preseason power rankings. We're starting at 4 and going up to 1. At 4, I am going to put Chatham Central here, just because it is preseason. We haven't seen what they've done on the official game yet, so I'm going to put the Bears at 4. But like I said, really impressed by their improvements from last year. I think they're going to probably move up some in the power rankings this season with the schedule they have, and their ability to execute plays now that they had a full off season to get some things rolling. And I got them at 4. And then at 3, I have Jordan Matthews, a team that could also improve as well. Like we said, they've improved in the weight room, mentally. Of course, going into second year with Coach Kermit Carter, they have a better understanding of his system and how he expects to have things done. So we might see it improve Jordan Matthews this year as well. Now, they are in a tough conference, but I think there's some games in their schedule that could go their way. Looking at, of course, Carborough, Chatham Central, North Stokes, 3 games right there that I think they all have a chance of pulling out wins. And so 2. This has been a little different from the past 2 seasons, where it seems like the Chargers have been coming into the season the most talented, the best team in the county. But I got Northwood at 2 this year, just because of what they lost last year. It's going to be a question of how much they can replace from that senior class, and we'll just have to see how they do against some of the competition they're playing against. Like we said, they got a tough schedule starting with Harnett Central. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Grayson Cox, Robert Tripp, Rajay Torres, also they have Leo Mortimer, another guy that stood out to me as a running back in some of those games as well. How those guys can step up and help lead this team to to replace what they lost and still be a competitive team that can compete for a playoff spot down the end of the road. And then at 1, I have Seaforth. I think Seaforth this season, numbers-wise, they have the deepest team. I think they have the most talent on their team at their disposal. And with a new coach who has kind of came in, turned the culture around, I'm excited to see how that's going to work. And they have a very favorable conference as well with the opponents they have there. I think they have a chance at competing to win that conference, even though conference games don't really matter towards playoffs. But it'll help out a lot as far as your win-loss record. And I think C4 just going in. I've been high on them this offseason. Like I said, they have an experienced guy at quarterback if he does start in Duncan Parker. And he has some fire under him this offseason. Now the whole team pretty much has had fire under them this offseason, and they've been really hungry at trying to get to their first playoff berth, take that next step. And I think they do. Even if they don't make the playoffs, I do think they step up and stand out as the best team in the county this season. So, yeah, that's preseason power rankings. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or just your thoughts on the power rankings. Yeah, it's a little different from the past, like we said, at the 1 and 2 spot. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what this holds up by the end of the year.
Yeah, and folks, if you're watching on Facebook or on X, you can comment and below, or if you're watching on Instagram, you can comment on the Instagram side as well. I'd have to agree with you. And your job's going to be harder doing the power rankings this year because all of these, they're in 3 separate conferences, unlike last year where they're all pretty much in the same conference. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, if Chatham Central does really well in their conference, and maybe Seaforth, Northwood, or JM don't do that well in theirs, there's going to be a flexibility. But hey, it's open for discussion. Preseason, you may think it's not worth talking about, but Asheebo's seen enough of these teams to be able to give you a rundown of them. I'm going to have to agree with him. I think, again, where Seaforth's also strength is the numbers that they have. They don't have to worry about, I mean, every team has to worry about injuries, but I don't think Seaforth has to worry about injuries as much as Northwood does, because Northwood, as Asheebo said, has lost a bunch of folks from last year, and they just don't have the same numbers as they did last year. Before we get into soccer and volleyball, Asheebo and I talked about this before we started. This weekend is the first weekend of Rec League football at Siler City. The Siler City Rec League has got games starting this weekend. Asheebo, what's the rundown on that going on there? Because I think that's all working. Coach Kermit's excited about that. I know Mr. Burnett, who's the Rec League director, is excited about this. What can you let folks know about that? I think they've got like 100 players participating in that this weekend.
Yeah, so Teresa Burnett, his Facebook account, the Solid City Parks and Rec director, he's been keeping everyone updated on the schedule. So yeah, this weekend they are hosting their first round of games. So game times, of course, Saturday, 3 to 4-year-old flag will start at 9 a.m. 5 to 6-year-old flag will start at 9:30, and then they'll have a 7-year-old girls flag football at 10:30, and then they'll start with tackle football with 8U at 11:30, 10U at 1 o'clock, and then 12U will wrap it up at 2:30. And I think these games are at. Let me make sure I have the correct location. I want to say they're going to be at Jordan Matthews.
I think they are, but we can verify that.
Yeah. Let me. I think I don't see the location on here, but so please get with Treason and of course Solid City Parks and Rec Director for the exact location. But yeah, those are the scheduled times for the games, and then I think East Wake with East Chatham, they're going to get started this weekend as well. If I saw from their schedule, East Wake is going to start at Strong Center with 14U at 11 a.m. on Saturday as well. So we'll have some youth football from the county going on this weekend. And yeah, we'll definitely try to get scores in the paper as well, because we know youth football has been a big topic of discussion, especially middle school football as well. And now we get more opportunities because CC Elite is also playing under Solid City Parks and Rec this year as well. So if you guys remember, Chatham Central head coach Darren Little and a couple of guys, they were starting that as well, but they're going to play under Solid City. So yeah, we got more kids playing youth football this fall. So pretty exciting times for that, and we'll try to follow that as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think it came across on the media event that there were some kids that didn't start playing until they got to high school and weren't familiar with it. At least this way, more kids get more familiar with it. As Asheebo mentioned, he's going to be reporting scores. You'll see that in next week's Chatham News and Record newspaper. And I'm planning, I don't know what time slot I'm going to be able to run out there, but I do plan to get out there on Saturday and get some pictures of the company, their story or the write-up in the Chatham News and Record. And Asheebo, you're going to get the scores for the East Chatham Rec League games as well, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get scores for that as well.
All right. Let me ask you this question, because I know it's out there, but I personally don't have enough information yet, because I know you do. What's the scoop on girls flag football in high school?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I think from what I've heard, I know Jordan Matthews is trying to get a team and some other schools around the county as well. So I think an issue has been trying to figure out when to play, so not interfere with other sports in the fall. Because of course, we know some of our schools, girls are playing multiple sports at the same time, and that's going to be an issue. Of course, when you're trying to make sure you have the girls for the sanctioned sports like volleyball and tennis, but also still fulfill the interest of girls flag football, which hasn't been sanctioned yet. But of course, we know the sport is growing in the state of North Carolina, and what's expected to be sanctioned pretty soon because they're getting the numbers up with the amount of schools having teams. So we'll see. I know last year we had some of course some leagues and teams in the Raleigh area playing, and then they came together at the end to do a championship. So yeah, it's growing, and like I said, I think it's going to be an official NCHSAA sport in the coming years.
All right, we'll work to get more information for you. The reason I mentioned it because I think I saw a picture of the Northwood principal, and she was wearing a football jersey, and they had mentioned the fact that flag football is coming along. And I think you're right. I think Cameron had mentioned the fact that it was a matter of figuring out when to schedule those games because of so many different sports. And as you said, so many different players participating in other sports. Speaking of players participating in other sports, we ran into Rajay's dad at the Jamboree, and I think he mentioned that Rajay's, as long as he stays healthy, he's looking to be playing multiple sports as well. So not only will be doing football, but it sounds like Asheebo and I will be seeing him in a lot of other sports going on at Northwood and Chatham County. All right. Do you want to talk about soccer first, or do you want to talk about volleyball first?
Yeah, we just run through some volleyball scores from this week. Of course, Seaforth continuing to get off to a strong start with the season. They had another 3-0 win over Northwood. this week as well. Northwood still trying to find their first win. They lost to Southern Lee 3-0 this week. And then Jordan Matthews, they lost to Wheatmore 3-1 and Providence Grove 3-0. And then Chatham Central, they got their first win against Jordan Matthews last week. And trying to once again get in the win column this week, but they fell 3-2 to Eastern Randolph, and of course, tied all the way into the last set, in which they lost that one 15-3. And then they also fell to Lee County, I think last night, 3-1. So also too, I will be at Jordan Matthews today at 3:30. They're hosting Chatham Central in volleyball for their second meeting of the year. So I'll be there for that one. Of course, last meeting did go a full 5 sets, so it should be a good one. And then also with our charter schools, Cary Academy beat Woods Charter 3-0, but Woods Charter bounced back, got the big win. I think this is the first conference game, 3-0 over River Mill. And they're at Chatham Charter tonight at 6 p.m. down in Solid City as well. And then Chatham Charter, they got the win over Phoenix Academy 3-0. And that one, Aaliyah Walden had 8 kills, and Lily Phillips and Brooke Lavelle each had 12 assists. And but they followed that with a 3-0 loss to Northmore. And like we said, they'll be hosting Woods Charter tonight. So that's just a quick rundown of what we had in volleyball so far this week. And then we can go into boys soccer. Seaforth still looking for their first win. They lost to Chapel Hill 2-1 earlier this week. And then they also fell to Western Alamance 6-2. Northwood got a win over Graham 2-1 this week. And Jordan Matthews, I think this is their first loss of the year, to Providence Grove, lost that one 5-4 this week. And then we also got some girls tennis results too. Carrboro beat Seaforth 8-1. Wheatmore beat Jordan Matthews 8-1. And then Jordan Matthews got the win over their rivals, Chatham Central 7-2 in girls tennis so far this week. So, of course, with our roundup, and but we'll have every week, we'll have all these results and more details on some of the big games later on today and Friday in the paper as well. So, yep, that's just a quick rundown of what we had so far.
All right, and as a reminder, folks, you follow Asheebo on Asheebo R38 on X, because he does a nice job updating it. He mentioned the Seaforth versus Northwood game. He was there, got a couple pictures and kept track of the score, so that's worth it. Speaking about Seaforth and Northwood, Seaforth varsity beat Northwood girls yesterday 3-0. However, the JV team, Northwood, came away with their first match win, and then lost to Seaforth JV. They lost 2-1. So that was interesting, because the varsity game was supposed to start at 6, but because the JV game went a little long, they didn't start their game till 6:45. So that's what's going on with the women's volleyball. And you mentioned soccer. So we're ready to talk about what's in the paper this week. And again, you covered a lot of it here, but what if people pick up the Chatham News and Record today, Thursday, what are they going to find from you in there?
Yeah, so we got the story from Seaforth and Northwood's first meeting in volleyball. That was last week. And then it gives a little bit of a preview of, the mindset and what Seaforth is coming with this season after a state championship appearance in 2024. And then, of course, we have our week 1 football previews that we discussed earlier with the preseason power rankings. And we have observations on Chatham Central and Northwood at the Jack Shannon Jamboree. We talked a little bit about those here as well. And, of course, like we said, fall sports roundup with some of the other sports results and conference standings after last week. And then we have a story on where you can find where local athletes are competing in college this fall, with college football starting, women's soccer, men's soccer, cross country, volleyball, women's golf. We have athletes that played in Chatham County, of course, competing all over the country at their respective colleges. So you can see where to find those players as well. And please let us know if we miss some players that weren't on our radar. We'll definitely like to keep up with them and add them in our later college sports stories where we're highlighting our former athletes. And then, Gene, you ready to get into Athlete of the Week?
Yeah, we're ready for, and actually, I already popped it up by accident because it clicked up earlier. But go ahead and let folks know who the athlete of the week is.
Yeah, athlete of the week is Allie Forbes from Seaford Volleyball. Had a very strong start to the season, picking up where she left off after the state championship last year. So against Apex Friendship, big win for the Hawks to start the year. She logged a team high of 13 kills in that one, and then she had 16 kills in the win over Northwood. She's been, of course, also to their leading server with a combined 13 aces in those two games. And then it's a UNC Wilmington commit. So of course she's coming off of an all conference season in 2024. 274 kills last year, 83 aces, 158 digs. So looking forward to another big year from Forbes. It's going to be a junior. Still plenty of time left in her C4 career, and we'll see if she can lead C4 to another long playoff run later this fall.
All right, folks, that kind of wraps it up. Where are we going to be at? I'm going to do the Northwood, JM at Carborough football game tomorrow, and then half of that, and then do the C4th at Chapel Hill. Asheebo, where are you going to be? You're going somewhere today, and you're going somewhere tomorrow.
Yeah, like I said, today at 3:30, I'm at Jordan Matthews for volleyball against Chatham Central. And then tomorrow night, I'll be reporting from Chapel Hill for Chapel Hill C4th, and I'll watch that game in full. You can follow me on X. I'll have updates on scores, turnovers, whatever's going on, and of course, interviews after the game, especially if C4th wins. So, yeah, we're excited to see if C4th can get their first win under Tolbert Matthews, get their first win in week one. But also, I'll be keeping up with other people around the county, trying to keep up with scores as well Friday night. So you can just follow me for the latest score updates. And yeah, we're excited for the start of another football season. And we finally get to see these teams get on the gridiron, do it officially, and start a new year.
All right, folks, and that wraps it up for this week. We'll see you back next Thursday. Oh, before we leave, I want to thank everybody who's been watching. Last week's we total over 1,000 viewers on Facebook and over 200 on X. So those are the two ones I really pay attention to. YouTube is more as an archival depository for us. Just also want to let folks know if you watched us on Facebook, you can watch the live stream again up to 30 days, and after 30 days, Facebook removes it, but it always stays on YouTube, so that's out there as well. So, folks, thank you very much for watching.